If you met the president, what do you think would happen? Start
So
with
I'll
the
start
second
with.
question.
I've met the president.
Okay.
And I came under a lot of fire for it, but people don't understand the context. Because the first time I met him was in a church service, and it was at a time when he still was not very popular.
Are you scared of the guy?
No, to be fair, I have not spent a lot of time with President Ruto. Raila was a very restorative leader because he went and tried to bridge that divide. You've seen the ills, and when I say that people sometimes resort to their tribal cocoons, you find that people still believe that there's an oath that was taken, that power shall never cross River Chania. How did the young people, what happened to that oath? Was it broken? Has it been communicated to the young people? Because there's prejudice. There's people even during this time of mourning. There's people from, for example, from the Kikuyu community who would believe that Raila was a devil.
But Lewis, come on, seriously.
Jans, I mean, this one
know.
is, and this one, it's not even like a unique name. It's my grandpa's name.
Really?
Yeah, I'm named after my grandfather. So this Kasmuel name, I don't know. I've not heard anybody else with it.
I have never heard of anyone called Kasmuel.
So, yeah, he was a unique man.
Good evening, good morning, Africa. Welcome from wherever you're watching us from. This is Diplomacy Unscripted, a show where we discuss matters diplomacy in a way that regular citizens can relate. Today on set, we have an amazing, young, phenomenal leader from Africa, Kenya to be specific. His name is Kasmuel Mc'Oure, but I think he will be able to tell us more about himself. Welcome, Kasmuel.
Thank you very much, Brenda.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm alive. I'm
so
grateful.
Happy to see you.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that this is finally happening.
I know.
Yes. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Well, in what sense? Yeah, this question usually is kind of confusing.
Unajulikana sana,
Do I start from childhood, or do I start from this year or from last year?
Let me see what I can ask you.
Yeah.
So first of all, tell us how to pronounce your name.
Kasmuel Mc'Oure.
I said it right?
You did.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you got it.
I thought you were going to cuss me
No,
out.
no, you got it.
People say Kasamuel. You're like,
Yeah,
do not call me that.
I mean, it's the people.
It's Kasmuel, not Kasamuel.
Yeah, no, it's Kasmuel.
So how, I mean, but Lewis, come on, seriously.
Jans, I mean, this one
know.
is, and this one, it's not even like a unique name. It's my grandpa's name.
Really?
Yeah, I'm named after my grandfather. So this Kasmuel name, I don't know. I've not heard anybody else with it.
I have never heard of anyone called Kasmuel.
So, yeah, he was a unique man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Clearly, you're
I never met
also...
him, but we have a lot of similarities. The people who met him tell me that we are very similar. One, he was very particular about his dressing. He's a very strict person. Those people who don't be privately, they're rather strict. And yeah, a lot of things. Stylish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're Kasmuel's grandson.
Yes.
Okay. And in Luo, they say Nyakwa.
Nyakwar. But Oure is also his name. I think I'm fully named after him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Nyakwar Oure.
All right.
Yes.
So what is his personality like? Are you like him, based on what you're told?
I think so. I'm quite like him because he was a trailblazer. He went and settled in a place where people had not settled before. He just cleared a bush. It's very controversial, which I see a lot in myself. And yeah, I'm always just charting new paths for myself and wading in uncharted waters,
All right.
just to see what would happen. I never quite interacted with him, but the people.
Kasmuel, we want to get to know you a bit more.
Right.
Better.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a few questions. So basically, this is just like icebreakers.
Sounds good.
If you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be? Please don't think too much.
3 words. I would say curious,
Uh-huh.
resilient,
Uh-huh.
creative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Curious, resilient, creative.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your go-to song when you need motivation?
It's a little known song, but it's a jazz song called Hymn for Taiwa. Yeah, it's by a pianist. It's a tribute to a pianist from the South.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Raila Tibim.
I mean, For Baba, it's speeches.
Yeah?
Yeah,
His
I
speeches.
I listen to him speak.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So if you weren't a youth leader,
Mhm.
what would you be doing right now?
You know, I don't think of myself particularly as a youth leader. It's just my human experience has led to this space. I don't think I'd be doing anything else. This is I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, because I'm a multi-passionate individual, and my life is not. I don't know.
So,
It's like a potpourri. I'm a musician. I'm a
yes, those are
swimmer.
the things as well.
Those
Yeah.
are but those things happen in tandem. So there's a time when the music takes prevalence. There's a time when politics and leadership takes prevalence. I think this is that time.
All right.
Yeah.
And so what instruments do you play?
I play lots of instruments, but my primary ones are piano and trumpet. Yeah. But I've been a music educator and a composer, so I play quite a couple. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you learn all that?
High school. Yeah, I didn't fancy. I was small.
Which
when
high
I was
school was that?
I went to Alliance. I was called to Alliance, and that's where I learned most of my music.
Wow.
Yeah, but then I finished in Miranda School. Yeah, but music chiefly I did that in Alliance because I wanted to play the cool sports like rugby and whatnot, but then I was too small. So I went more into swimming and music. That's what I did for my co-curricular.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's your fondest moment with Baba?
Oh, man.
Look at your smile.
There's a time.
Yeah.
There's a time we were going to. I don't know where we were going, but I know he was in Kisumu. And that week I was coming under a lot of fire from the internet. I think I'd just done a rally or something. There's something I'd done that people thought was anti-ODM. People are telling me, oh, now you're going against the party and whatnot. Yeah. And everyone was telling me, now you and Mzee is over. That happened maybe, I think, on a Sunday. And on like Wednesday, Baba calls me and he says, where are you? And whatever, I'm in Kisumu, come. So I went to Kisumu, I went with a friend. I couldn't find a flight, so we drove down. And so we had breakfast, as was the norm. And we were going for something. I think we were going to, Busia. I know we were going for an ODM function. And so the day happened, we had breakfast, he told us a lot of stories, and then we went. And on coming back, I left my car in the compound, but my friend left. By the time he was coming back, it was too late. And he was like, no, you don't need to go and sleep anywhere, just sleep in the house, you leave, we'll leave together in the morning. And he just showed me where I would sleep. I felt very awkward because
house?
this is
What?
his house in Riyadh, and this is Baba.
This is Baba.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in the house who could show you where to sleep, but he showed me specifically
Himself.
to sleep here in the room. And then in the morning he woke up. He rose before I did, and so he woke up and he came in his gym clothes, and we went and he told me, let's go exercise together. And we
Honestly, that's
exercised.
so fatherly.
That was fun.
Baba.
I have fond memories. A
Yeah.
lot of those. There's a time I think we were also going to, was it, I don't know if it's Madaraka Day. That's very recent. It was happening in Homa Bay. And he told me to go down to Kisumu and then we would go to Homa Bay together. And he told me to get to the house at 7. But when I got there, Francis told me that I'd already left. So I called His Excellency and he's like, I couldn't find him. And then finally I got him. And he's like, oh, we're already at the State Lodge, but don't worry. I'll send someone to come and pick you. And I had the chopper take me, and it was just me and Waziri Oparane in the chopper, and it was crazy. He had that. There's so many at a personal level. Him ensuring that dietary, for example, I'm not being bullied if we're eating out and someone's trying to pick on me because I just eat veggies. It's just like, no, leave the young man alone. That's
you're pure vegetarian.
Yes. I observe a purely plant-based diet.
Have you ever tasted meat?
I have, yeah. It's just I stopped taking it in 2014.
Did you have a reason?
No, it's just attention seeking, really. But also it's sort of layered. Growing up, because I remember I went back home and I told my folks that I've quit meat. It was some sort of rebellion. And they were not shocked because as a young person, I thought eggs were too white. I thought I didn't like the texture of meat. And I'm very picky. I'm a very picky eater, even
So,
with
so when
texture.
you say vegetarian, I mean, so what food do you eat?
Just regular plants, like
Plants.
pulses, legumes.
So we should be careful. The plants around here.
Oh man,
go
yeah,
missing.
these ones is I am. It's branch, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, if you were to play in a movie,
Mm.
mhm,
No, you know this one. No.
what character would you like?
I would. The
Who would you be?
the Green Book. There's a movie called The Green Book. Dr. Don Shirley. He's a pianist. It's my favorite movie.
You and instruments.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
That would be it because again, my consumption is very fringe. So there's that. Am I being too ambitious by saying that if it were like the more common movies,
Mhm.
I would want to be. I'm gonna catch strays for this, but maybe Raymond Reddington or from the Blacklist. I enjoy
The villain.
It's not a
He's
villain.
not a villain, really.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
he
it
rescues
is.
situations.
He bears
Yes.
contradictions.
Let me
He's
tell
a
you,
horrible man, but also
he's a good man.
a practical man.
And he's a lot of things. I love Reddington.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't mind as well, like a
Yeah.
female version of him. Maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So, what's one habit you cannot live without?
A habit?
Mm-hmm.
Man. I don't know. Do I have any habits? I play piano, but then I don't know if that's a habit.
Is it something you can't live without?
Maybe warm water in the morning.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's crazy because
That's healthy.
I don't know if it's healthy, but it's just like a thing which it helps me. I don't know. When I wake up, I feel rather anxious many times, and then when I take warm water,
And then
it's,
lastly, so
yeah.
if you were to meet one leader in the world, who would it be?
I already met him.
Raila?
Yeah, it's Raila
Aw.
Odinga. Yeah. So,
Wow. So how is life without Raila?
I don't know. It's confusing. It's interesting because as a young person, I didn't know him necessarily only as a political figure. A lot of people who have interacted with have known him as a politician. A lot of people have known him as a leader and as a face of something. But I met him at a phase where I didn't know him chiefly as a politician. His political involvement his work had already been set on stone. He had already exemplified all that I think he would have been. There's nothing that would have wowed him in terms of accomplishment. He had done it all. He had done the fights. Anything, even if he got the presidency, would be ceremonial according to me.
Would you say absolutely?
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
but would you say he shaped your life in politics
Yes.
in a way?
Yes, but mostly he shaped my life as a man because then I meet him as a father figure. He treated me like a grandson. There's like I was a child around him. I would ask questions. I would ask even things to do with mortality.
Yeah.
Even things with there's a time when people were jostling around him to do with like this kingpin business. And I remember we were in Kisumu, we were in Royal Swiss. I was with him and with the youth leader, Dr. Oburu. And he was vying for his AU. We were just about, I think, to go to Addis. And I was asking, what's this whole thing? What does it look like? And typically that's a faux pas question to ask His Excellency because he's still here. Why are you asking him about His Excellency? And why are you asking about it in front of people? But then he just...
It's a question you can ask.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the times people would tell me this is faux pas, but then I would face His Excellency and he would tell me. He was always telling me stories. He was always... he was keen on... It was not transactional. That's why I can't quite quantify or qualify what it was because he was a friend.
And the weird thing is
Yeah.
a lot of people are assuming that Raila Odinga was very transactional.
Yes, that's
And it's weird when you watch the interviews of people that truly were close to him.
anyone who knows Jacom knows that he was such a giver. And I think a lot of the people who he gave need to show up. Sometimes I don't hear a lot of these stories, but there are people, for whatever reasons, who do not share that he gave of himself. And what I realized is people would tell me, when you're around him, there's a way you can make money, you can go and follow these deals and whatnot. And I remember from our second meeting, I was just like, I'm never going to ask this man of anything, because I'd already asked of his time and he told me yes. And I quantified it and said, I'm still a young person, I'm in my 20s.
And as a young man, you felt like there was so much value
I could make
out of
money.
the interactions.
I could make money later.
Even just the knowledge you were gaining.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at it as I'm not particularly obsessed with money. I'm not particularly obsessed with wealth. As long as I can afford a good suit, I can fuel my car and service it. That's totally okay. But the experience I would have with Raila Odinga would transcend any monetary value that anybody would give me, because I got a front row seat to a lot of things. He would take me to a lot of meetings, and then we'd spend a lot of quality time together. That kind of conversation, seeing how such a man of such stature carries himself, it rubs off on you.
You kind of remind me of when Kevin Hart met Jeff Bezos, and he was seated with his friends, and he said, "Oh my goodness, is that Jeff Bezos? I want to go and say hi."
Yeah.
But his friends were feeling like they're too cool, and they were telling him, "No, you're going to look weird. Like, I mean, you're also a big star." So he said, "No, listen, you people want to pretend like you know everything, but I don't know everything.
Yeah.
That man is a trillionaire.
Yeah.
And I want to go and talk to him. Maybe this may not be the best setting, but I'm going to learn a thing or two from him."
Yeah.
So he didn't feel like he was too cool for school. So he went, said hi, and that's how their relationship started. And he said, "Hi, nice to meet you. This is me and my wife, and I would love to meet you again, just to pick on your brain."
Yeah.
And
it's pretty much the same for me and Baba, because I didn't want to meet Baba alone. I'd convinced some young people who we were on the front lines with, let's go and meet Raila. Let's look for him. Let's seek him out. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's not a good time." It's layered with a lot of things. We don't.
But there's something about conviction, and sometimes it's difficult to carry everybody along.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have bared a very heavy cost.
Yeah. I think
in terms of just making a choice that is for you.
Yeah.
That other people may not necessarily agree with, and they end up perhaps disliking you for it.
It's very interesting, because a lot of the time I would communicate this with my friends, but my friends didn't see it. I remember there's a time we were coming from the burial of one of the frontliners we were with, had lost her grandfather, and somebody had called me to tell me that I needed to meet Governor Orengo. And this is a man who we know is the most illustrious leader. We can have, like, one of the most decorated leaders. Like, he started from student politics. He's been through all the struggles. He's been with Raila. He's seen it all.
Yes.
And I remember talking with my friends, because I was driving. We were driving back to Nairobi, and I was telling them, "Hey, I've been called." And the president was going to Kisumu. It's the first time that the president was in Kisumu. So it felt as though I was afraid that maybe, they're setting me up. They want me to whatever. And the governor's personal assistant, somebody gave me the phone and gave the governor, and he said, "Oh, young man, I've seen the work that you're doing." I think it was last year in September or some I don't know, I've forgotten when the president went to Kisumu. "And I'd like to meet. So see if we can organize transport and we'll meet." And I remember setting very harsh and tough conditions for this person, because I talked to my friends and my friends told me no. Looking back, I should have gone. Because I would have. I feel like your 20s are the time where you learn. I know nothing about national politics. I know nothing about managing fame. Knowing what I know now, I probably would have hired a consultancy to help me work through, like, branding, PR and whatnot. But the only way you know that is by going through that.
Yeah.
And going through what I went through last year.
Yeah.
Even at the time. So I missed that opportunity, but I'm very grateful that Governor Orengo, he didn't give up. He sought me out. He was like, "Okay, maybe I understand that this could be tricky for you right now, but we'll schedule a time." And sure, true to his word, he scheduled a time and he brought me over. He flew me, and he's a very decent man and very sharp. And then when he meets you, he's also such a fount of knowledge. So I met him just after I'd met His Excellency Raila Odinga. And meeting Raila was one of those things I should not have done it alone.
Yeah.
I wanted to go with people, but then people thought it wasn't cool. I was like...
So, Imagine, Kasmuel,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you believe in God. Yeah. So sometimes you want to work with people, especially when you're coming from the stage that you guys were coming from. Remember, your coming together was to fight the finance bill,
Yeah.
and you sort of, created a structure.
Yeah.
It didn't really have a strong foundation,
Yeah.
but it was based on need.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a seasonal situation.
Yeah.
So you don't make permanent plans based on seasonal things.
Right.
Right? So what people may not understand, it was a season and you gave your all to Kenya
Yeah.
to push back on the finance bill. For me, as a millennial, I know I wasn't in the streets, but I was working behind the scenes, not to directly do anything or not.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time I was working for USAID on strengthening democracy, governance, whatnot. We have done this kind of work for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, to be honest, the push just to see that the young people that we have been preaching for the longest be interested in the governance of your country. Do you know how much taxation you pay? Do you understand what accountability looks like? Are you able to hold leaders accountable? Go and take your votes, go and get registered to vote. We have done this for such a long time, and we were so pleasantly surprised when young people came up and said they wanted to push back on things that they felt were, a bit oppressive, right? So at that time, it was a finance bill. So personally, I just want to tell you that, of course, for a lot of young people, they may feel how they feel, but the truth of the matter is, for a lot of Kenyans, we are grateful.
Oh, thanks.
Not just to you, but to the entire lot of young people that had so much courage. And we are sorry that so many of you lost your lives. And you went through trauma that even us, people who are way older than you, have not gone through. I have not been threatened. I have never been followed around. I don't know what it feels like to know that your life is in danger. And I had in one of the podcasts that you may not have seen your 26th birthday if, evil had succeeded, So one of the things that we don't do enough is to say thank you for some of the things that you people have done. So yourself and everyone else who was involved in pushing back, all the young people, we are grateful. So what young people do beyond that point, whatever direction you take in life, it is okay. I'd like to bring something to your attention, and I'd like you to answer me in terms of what do you think democracy is? Because if I'm going to dictate your tone and your movement, am I really being democratic? Because if I'm going to tone police you and say, you can't do this, you can't do that, it's against the movement, it means I now suddenly feel like, because we're on the same team, I now have to curtail your rights as an individual who is autonomous to choose what path you feel like is right for you. So if any of them feel like they don't ever want to get into politics, it's okay. If they want to get into politics, they're free to choose any party, including UDA. Which is currently the ruling party, And one thing we learned from the father of democracy, Raila Odinga, is that politics here, uadui, right? This is why you could see Baba shaking hands. Because sometimes, the stability of a country is more important than political expediency.
I think so. The Democratic Front, especially to us as young people, is still... We understand the concept of justice. We have a rough idea of what we think justice is. We have a sort of, I would say, skewed or interesting perspective on morality. And we are young. We're growing our sense of justice. We've had different upbringings, and therefore we are still projecting to the world what we think democracy or justice or right or wrong ought to be. But the freedoms that have been fought for by heroes present and heroes past, from first, second to our liberation, they firmly advocate for freedom of association, of opinion, of those kinds of things. But what I felt like we were missing in our revolution was I keep on saying that my analysis is we were not ideologically bound. It was not an ideological battle. It was an issue-based battle in the sense that we all could agree that the finance bill is oppressive. But beyond the finance bill, we did not agree, for example, on what workers' policy would be, workers' rights, our policies on education, like what are ideologies? Because everybody was on the streets. The capitalists were on the streets. The people who believe in social democracy were on the streets. The people who were on the fringe left, on the far left, were on the street. People who were far right were on the streets.
Right.
And to try and homogenize that, to try and make that, I've always said that the goal is unity, not uniformity. It is possible to thrive in all these outfits. It's possible for us to still push for these radical changes. I could be in the Orange Democratic Movement, you could be in the United Democratic Alliance, you could be in KANU, you could be in PNU.
And there's certain things we could agree on.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
a difference in ideology does not make us enemies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel a lot of people did not understand. And because of a certain sociological and societal I don't know if to call it pressure or expectation, people look and perceive you the way they ask themselves, how would they act if they were in your situation? And they project that. You know, these parasocial relationships, because I've seen you on screen, I feel like I know you. And I judge you based on my standards and not particularly on yours. And there was also a lot of propaganda, a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation, because remember, there are people who had put their bodies onto the streets. There are people who are fueling and who are driving a lot of the agenda in this revolution, who are online, just online warriors.
Yeah.
And at some point, everybody wanted to be a leader. And there was just a conflict of interest. There are people who were feeling that they're not getting the recognition. There are people who were feeling bad that, hey, this is a newcomer. Because if you understand the social media space, it has clicks and it has people who feel like they run those streets, actually. So if it's something like Twitter, which is currently known as X, they feel like where you cannot be an upstarter, you cannot come here. And it's a challenge that I'm facing everywhere. That you just came the other day, how come you're rising too fast? They feel like the space has been threatened.
And this is where God comes in.
Yes, because I cannot explain it. I
Yeah.
would say if I knew that 2024 was going to be that kind of year, I would have invested all my money, not even on anything else. I'd have invested in a good PR farm. I would have invested, if I knew that's what it was going to be. Because a lot of people want to make it look like it was scripted and whatnot. I wouldn't need to. Nobody wants to go through all that online bullying and whatnot.
And sometimes in Kenya, I feel like, the truth is punished and silence is rewarded. So if you speak your truth and say, I as Kasmuel would love to lead and be in this party and whatnot, you can be punished.
Yeah.
But the people who are quietly, siding with whichever, side of the divide, and, they're thriving.
Yeah.
And also we know that social media, let me call it, there's a new concept we're calling digital democracy.
Right.
And I think the old way that we used to do, let's say, understand governance is shifting really fast. Let me take you to Tanzania. You just saw what happened.
Yeah.
Of course, President Suluhu was sworn in yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the 3rd, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, or 4th.
4th.
Not 4th is today, so 3rd.
3rd. All right. So, Tanzania, you've seen what has happened.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at the conversations between the Gen Zs in Kenya and Tanzania, I don't think that Kenyans understand. Tanzanians are not standing on the same ground we're standing on. The infrastructure that Tanzania is standing on is a very old, outdated constitution. The rights and freedoms that Kenyans enjoy here are not the same rights and freedoms Tanzania enjoys. So as much as you can go and tell them, you guys, we did this in Kenya, go and do it in your country, you have seen the kind of violence that was meted upon people, and not just young people, because we saw bodies of women, youth, men. It didn't matter who you were, children. We have seen the brutality that has been meted upon a people because, for example, in Tanzania, the ruling party has ruled since independence. And it is a surprise that it is called Chama cha Mapinduzi because it was supposed to stand for reforms.
Yeah.
But when you look at the lengths President Suluhu would go to remain in power, it is something that I think Kenyans are looking at like in shock. But you must understand, it's because we have a constitution, yeah, that protects your rights and freedom. Did you know that in Tanzania, there's no electoral dispute resolution? Once the elections are announced, that is that. You know, in Kenya, you can run to the courts. Right now, Chadema has gone to the ICC. It cannot do electoral dispute resolution as much as there's so much evidence in terms of how the election was not free and fair. Neither was it credible or verifiable, because they're claiming to have counted 32 million votes in 48 hours, you know, in the darkness and without internet. I don't know how they did that, you know. So there's so many differences between our countries, and I feel like as much as we are in support of Tanzanian people generally, not just the youth, we need to be careful about some of the things we're drilling into them, because they may end up in trouble, because the laws in that country do not support the kind of democracy we enjoy in Kenya, unfortunately.
I think, first, I agree with you on that framework, and especially the fact that the constitution would need a bit of revision. But then that is it's a problem that Tanzanians have to contend with. They have to get to the point without any external interference, and that's what. But this part might get me into some hot soup with what the Kenyan people, activist space, civil society space thinks. But while all struggle is united, we must also respect the sovereignty of other people. While yes, people could argue that we are contending with empire, we must understand that the current political institutions are the courtesy of the people. 60 years after independence, we cannot say that the white man is still at the helm.
He's not in charge.
Yes, we cannot say that it is a colonial construct. Yes, it might have certain
but there's a reason why it was not changed, because it's benefiting certain people.
Yes, but if you think about it, Chama cha Mapinduzi has chiefly been led by Tanzanians. And therefore, we must let Tanzania get to the point where she will say that this is enough without coercion. We must not, as activists, for example, if we think injustice is happening in Tanzania, while it is good to stand in solidarity with us,
we cannot be louder than Tanzanians.
We cannot mourn louder than the bereaved, but then also we must not interfere in the processes. And this was evidenced last year when there was some discomfort when certain activists left our country to go and protest in Tanzania, because the Jumuiya, the East African community, is still a very young establishment, and we're still trying to bolster those ties. And you can see the kind of administrations we have around just our neighboring countries. I think, one, we must respect that sovereignty. We must, of course, condemn political violence or any dictatorial tendencies, but we must also respect the sovereignty. I love the fact that you talk about sovereignty, and I know this is also going to be very unpopular. I agree with you, because the moment Kenyans illegally enter the border of Tanzania in the name of protesting together with Tanzanians, we cannot think, some juvenile actions that we do are going to put us into problems. For example, President Suluhu, who was, of course, announced and declared president and was sworn in yesterday, and I have my reservations as to why. Honestly, I do not accept those results, because I know what a credible election looks like, and I know the parameters, and it doesn't meet that. And as a person, whether she's male or female, oppression has no gender. And I will never support someone just because she's a woman. You have to, implement the constitution and be right with the people. And also there's the question of Tanzanians feeling like justice was served at the end of the day, and their democratic right was respected, But the other thing that I'm trying to say is, just because we
social media has so much euphoria. And the jokes, sometimes you take jokes too far. There are cases where Kenyans were in different jurisdictions.
Yeah.
One was caught with drugs, another one caught with whatever.
Yeah.
If you go into another country and something happens to you, you're going to take responsibility, personal responsibility for what happens to you. However, in the case of Kenya, Kasmuel, I did not, maybe you know something that I don't, but I did not see the Kenyan activist, whether it was Boniface Mwangi or Agatha from Uganda, or the former emeritus CJ or Martha Karua do anything except go to court in solidarity.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That I actually stand with.
Because what was the torture all about?
And that's the thing.
And what crime did they commit? And if you commit a crime, how about you're charged?
Yes.
Because they went missing.
Yes.
Boniface was abducted
And abused.
in the hotel, from the hotel, So these are things, even diplomatically, Tanzania has really miscalculated on some of these things.
I totally agree. Even our constitution says that everybody has the right of freedom from abuse, freedom from torture, freedom from enforced disappearance. This is, I think,
and meanwhile, we have
Chapter
2
4.
activists from Kenya that disappeared in Uganda.
In Uganda. And again, this will take collective effort of the people. We have to get to the point where, as a population, we agree that this is wrong. Because if we do not get to the point where we have consensus that human rights actually matter, these things will continue to happen. If we do not get to the point of collective awakening and enough civic engagement, because people think that there's civic education and is more important than civic engagement, but I think it's the other way around. Until we get to the point where we can communicate these points as simply as we can, because to the average Mwananchi, they would look at, and just think about it, think about those cases. When we were asking a foreign government not to execute a drug mule, the whole nation supported. But when activists like Boni and Agatha Tuhaire are being tortured and abused in a different country, we didn't witness as much support. And therefore, this just shows that there's something within our software that we would need to change. And that's why I'm like, we now get into murky waters of diplomatic ties and administrative positions, but just going constitutionally, it could be time for us to review constitutions, could be time for us to even just rethink our ethos as a people. Because even if you think about it, well, there's contestations on the election of Mama Samia Suluhu. What kind of leaders do we glorify? We glorify people like Ibrahim Traore.
Yeah.
And does he ascend to power democratically? He does not. He gets to power by a coup. And we praise him for certain things, and we are excited about the roads. And I have no personal problem with him, because at some point we'll have to think about what kind of democracy works for Africa. But if you see the general zeitgeist of the people tend to favor such kinds of characters. It's just that now when we see those players, because how is it any different? How's what's happening in Tanzania any different from what happened in Kenya in 2007? Did the whole country come out to the streets to protest? It did not. Because
2007?
in 2007,
Yeah.
not the whole country. There are people who actually, the country was split into, there are people who felt like that was a fair and free and fair election. And I'm pretty certain members of CCM, they truly believe that they won the election.
No, they don't.
But they believe.
Because let me tell you something, Kasmuel. Sometimes we just have to call a spade a spade. The precursor of the election itself, when you're looking up all opposition leaders, everybody that is a strong candidate that has the masses, you look up.
Yeah.
One, I think I will get his name.
Tundu Lissu?
No, there's
from
one
Chadema.
that died last year.
Oh, right.
Yes, a strong opposition leader that died last year.
Yeah.
And his son is still asking for justice.
Yes.
Then Tundu Lissu is locked up. We have, so it is just when you slowly take out the competition. Let me tell you, the difference between Kenya and Tanzania is that in 2007, both Raila Odinga and Mwai Kibaki were on the ballot.
Yes.
And it was a free race. Whether elections were rigged or not, that happened after, But the fact that you go all the way to remove, your competitors from the ballot, lock up one, say he is locked up for treason. In fact, if you check what the reason is, he refused to sign the election code of conduct, which he said, I wanted reforms.
Yeah.
Now, what is an election? Is where people sit down and discuss and agree. All parties,
Yes.
including the smaller parties, agree that these rules and regulations work for us. It's not just CCM. So CCM has a tendency of being the ruling party
Yes.
and reigning. I think they saw the kind of how the ground was changing and they didn't like it. And they decided, you know what, we're going to look out competition.
Yeah.
So put a few stooges on the ballot paper. There were 16.
16, so that it looks like there's some form of competition.
Yes, exactly. And then you win 98%. Do you know that, statistically speaking, that is impossible?
It is. It is.
It is impossible.
The reason why I drew a parallel to what happened in 2007 is because of the aftermath. Because now we get into this murky waters of what is the acceptable level of rigging. What is the acceptable? You see that because eventually people end up dying, whether or not all horses make it to the race. If it costs us lives, it means that...
Yeah, but you can push a people. So Tanzanians are like the Canadians of Africa. For you to push Tanzanians,
Yeah.
do you understand? Somebody says, na kuomba nikupatie chai. You know, Kenyans are considered to be rude.
I mean, because I'm going to be alive for a very long time.
Let me tell.
I don't want to get into that. It's just that they speak Swahili. If you've driven into Tanzania through Namanga,
Yeah.
you know that the police force is no different from our Kenyan police
No, it's
force.
not different. But I'm saying generally, when you look at, I think maybe based on our experience, based on how we've interacted with even civil society, people who were equals, there's a way they move that is different from Kenyans are very aggressive,
Yeah.
and now Nigerians are aggressive,
Right.
aggressive.
Yeah.
But Kenyans are aggressive
Yeah.
compared to Tanzania.
Yeah.
So there are things that you do that the center will not hold. It doesn't matter what you do. This could have been avoided.
It could.
It could have been avoided
For
because
sure.
let everyone vie.
Yes.
Do the best you can to win.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And if you truly want the presidency, then take it. You know, at least let us see a process.
Yeah, I agree. And it was Mwalimu Nyerere who said that kama Watanzania hawatayapata mabadiliko katika Chama cha Mapinduzi, wataenda kuyatafuta mabadiliko kwingine. And I think Tanzania was at the cusp of looking for mapinduzi or mabadiliko kwingine. So I agree with you. I think I was pushing back because then these are the complexities of
the differences between Kenya and Tanzania is like day and night. My dear, they're where we were in 1992. Actually, not even in 1992. 1992, we are trying to remove...
to repeal Section 2A.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are really way back. So the things that we did back in the day, that's where they are. In fact, now the first order of business for Tanzania is going to be trying to get a new constitution. That's going to be the new push.
That should be, I think.
That should be. It's the first order of business to demolish all the constructs that make the country what it is now.
But I'd push back and say they shouldn't be that behind. Because remember, Tanzania was a very important ally in the African liberation struggle. So it was a safe haven for it really, really directly contributed to the independence of countries like South Africa. That's why they even share a national anthem, the two.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep on saying that all African people, I wouldn't say that they could be docile as a form of culture. They've navigated a lot of things which we still grappling with,
but
like
pia tuseme
tribalism.
ukweli, Tanzania wanapenda burudani sana.
It's
They have
true.
been distracted, you know.
But you know, there are things which they've overcome that we haven't yet. Like the tribalism issue. Mwalimu dealt with it firmly. And we might be ahead in terms of aggressiveness and us being a Silicon Valley. I would say this African Silicon Hub after
my challenge with Tanzania is Tanzanians never hold the government accountable. Do you know how many Tanzanians don't know how much tax they pay?
Yeah.
Do you know how many Tanzanians don't understand? The reason why there's more scandals in Kenya is because we're paying close attention and we reveal these things. Also in Tanzania, there's a level of suppression and silencing people.
Yes.
So the freedom of speech we enjoy is different. So you may think Kenya is more dramatic. It's just that the things in Tanzania don't come to light.
Yeah.
But looking at the structure in terms of what we're seeing now, the state capture is at its prime in Tanzania.
Yeah.
Because it's the private, invisible hands that made sure Suluhu remained as president. So welcome back to the show. My name is Brenda Isabel, and I'm here in studio with Kasmuel Mc'Oure, who is a youthful, or should I say young, activist and political leader in Africa and Kenya, to be specific. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, revolution in real time. So when you stand in front of a crowd, what do you see? Do you see hope? Do you see anger? Do you see exhaustion when you look at Kenya, to be specific? When you stand in front of a crowd,
Yeah.
and also, how do you feel as a young person who knows that was recently very oppressed?
Yeah, I would say that I would answer that maybe two-pronged, in the sense that this is what I saw in the crowd last year when we were on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's confusing, because then this crowd, it's people you do not know. The only thing that binds you is your suffering, and is your angst and your anger, and your common desire to have this oppressive thing fall. So how do you manage to convince all these people that this is the direction we'll be moving? This is what we need. At least that was easy, because there was that that particular issue that we were dealing with, which was the finance bill. Crowds are very scary to me, especially political crowds, because I had not dealt with such crowds before. But that time we would see rage. And the good thing about rage is warm and it burns, so you could wear it as a coat. That one was easy, because what do you mean? That you can't be more enraged than I am. There's no expectation we have of each other. All we want to do is go and take down this thing. And then that morphs and gets into the point where now I get into more political organization, in the sense that I realize that political problems require political solutions. Then now things crystallize, because you're seen as an outsider to this particular group that's still going in that amorphous direction. And so that is confusing, because then you see more. We both are not operating on the same wavelength, in the sense that you have rage and you have your doubts and you have your insecurities and I have mine. And
Right.
it's sort of diametrically opposed. And people are looking at you from an angle which is totally different. And now going further even into the more political crowds, there's this despair in the Kenyan youth.
But do you feel like the state is scared of its own people, especially young people?
I think I would not use fear, because fear is of incapable people. The state is either confused or I do not know what that.
I think they're in denial.
I don't even think it's denial, because denial would mean that you're continuing with the.
I will tell you what I
In
feel
what
like
way?
is in denial, because look at the political class right now. Look at the kind of mathematics they're doing.
Yeah.
They're doing the kind of political arithmetic that was relevant in the 80s, in the 90s, in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So when you look at what is happening, you will see that wanapiga hesabu za Waluya, za Wajaluo, za Wakisii, za Wakamba.
Yeah.
But you see the ground they're standing on shifted a long time ago, and I don't think they realize. The hesabus wanapiga pale juu, hizo hesabu waziingia hapa chini, kusema kweli. Because
I have some pushback against that.
There could be
in the sense that I actually will go on record to say that 2027 will be a tribal election. I think it's our second last or last tribal election, but it could be the penultimate or the ultimate one. But I think this Hesabu is still working, in the sense that there are certain metrics, there are certain markers.
So do you feel like young people are going to vote based on tribal calculations?
Absolutely. We might not say that on social media, but every single time something of significance happens, we return to the tribal cocoons. You saw
when Raila Odinga died.
Even before Raila Odinga died.
I noticed there was a lot of tribal things.
Even before Raila Odinga died, Madaraka Day in Homa Bay, when the Luos were being called all sorts of names because they slept in a stadium. But remember, how often does a head of state go to that to that region? Especially that region has been. Now you get into those specific nitty-gritties of regional politics. Then you see even the way the developmental structure has been. There is a collective healing that needs to happen that we are getting in our own way. We need to heal the tribal divide. People hail President Kibaki as being a good president.
And young people don't understand the difference in culture.
Yes.
For example, they were judging how Luos are mourning, for example. Now, if you look at the people that have gone to Border Farm, it is an entire country.
Yes.
And Kikuyus went in their full regalia. The Kalenjins went in their full tradition. The Luyas went, doing their traditional things.
Yeah.
The Luos have done their thing. You saw Raila Jr. Getting
coronated, yes,
and coronated as the
head of
leader, head of the family.
Yes.
And many other things. But when you see young people on social media, their lack of knowledge in terms of even just respecting that this is what culture is.
Yeah.
Even just not understanding why the entire nation and the entire continent and the world is celebrating the life of the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, the late.
Yeah.
Is sometimes I wonder, because they have people that they admire like Batman.
Yes.
And Superman, and those are their superstars.
Yeah.
According to some of us, it's the people that crafted the ground that we stand on, that we believe in.
Right.
So when you see people celebrating Raila Odinga as a hero, I saw Calligraph Jones has transformed his entire studio. He put portraits of Raila, and people are making fun of him.
Yeah.
But there's a man who's put Boys to Men on the wall.
Yeah. I mean, we
And
wear
Jagged
Marvel
Edge.
and DC
Yes,
on our shirts.
and Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
But then young people want, also the tone policing.
Yeah.
You want to police people in terms of who their heroes are, who they accept, who they become.
But then it's also part of this global village thing where everyone wants to be a part of.
Should we lose our...
We shouldn't at all. And in that, because we always resort to what is our primal setting, because I believe we are our ancestors. We are just we're a continuation. We are our ancestors tomorrow. If this, I'm no different from my grandfather. I'm no different from our heroes past, and that's why we have to critically interrogate even before we go back to like restoration and whatever and colonialism. We need to figure out this issue, and that's why I was even going to that point of people saying that Kibaki was the best president, and I think he was the worst, because he lost the chance of dealing with two important aspects of our country. He had the chance to deal with corruption, because you remember when he got into power, Kenya was ranked the happiest nation, where citizens were doing citizens arrests for policemen who were taking bribes. He had the chance to firmly and decisively, once and for all, deal with the corruption menace. Didn't do it. 2, he had the chance of dealing with tribalism. If he had stuck to the memorandum of understanding that they had signed, that they would do a term each, it would have healed a great standing rift in our country. And sometimes the global network might not understand what some of these things are. But there's things which we might want to sweep under a rug, that even someone like Raila was a very restorative leader, because he went and tried to bridge that divide. You've seen the ills, and when I say that people sometimes resort to their tribal cocoons, you find that people still believe that there's an oath that was taken, that power shall never cross River Chania. How did the young people, what happened to that oath? Was it broken? Has it been communicated to the young people? Because there's prejudice. There's people even during this time of mourning, there's people from, for example, from the Agikuyu community who would believe that Raila was a devil, and I have a friend who was telling me that for them, they were being told as a baby, kula ama tutaita Raila. You see those kinds of connotations.
Wow.
And then on this other side, there's us, guys who believed that Raila would never die.
Some people have been conditioned.
Yes, that phobia and mania, that he was we were told that he would turn into an old woman. He would turn into
I
whatever.
love those folktales, because again, these are African stories.
Yes.
Whether they're true or false, at least we're not just borrowing things from the West.
Yeah. So even
saying you believe in Hulk Hogan, you believe in Undertaker.
Yeah. So even in terms of our democratic space, we often overlook our culture, and if we do not find ways of because culture must evolve. We must find ways of getting rid. Because how do you tell me that you will trust? And it's very funny that you're not allowed to marry people from a certain culture because, they're gonna, whatever, some of these rifts. So the most prominent rifts I have seen in my experiences between the Luos and the Kikuyus, it's a theoretical rift, in the sense that there's cases like the SM Otieno case that just ravaged the people back then. But then when you're looking for your domestic manager, do you ask which tribe they are from? You just look for the person who's most qualified to take care of your household.
You'd be surprised how Kenyans are doing.
Yeah, of course, a lot of people might still look at that, and that's a totally different thing. But
and you would be surprised
Yeah.
by how much, especially millennials and the older generation, was affected just by saying your surname. You could not get certain jobs.
yes, and so have we healed that?
No,
Because
it's-
until
it's
we get
not.
to the point where we let go of that trauma, it will be the only aspect of
And
culture that
now,
we can hold on to.
have you ever read the book "It's Our Time to Eat"?
I haven't.
So basically, depending on who's in power, this is why elections are such an emotive issue in Kenya, because it means if you're in power, it's the time for your people to eat.
Right.
So right now, if you go to all major institutions, there's a certain community
Yeah.
that is given precedence over
Yes.
any other community.
Yeah.
And I think
Typically,
this
it usually
is
is
the
the
kind of
the person who's sitting in the
conditioning, the kind
presidency.
of conditioning that we have in the country. But the other thing I needed to find out from you as we almost wind up
Yeah.
is that, first of all, how are you in the political party, ODM? You're in one of the strongest parties in Kenya,
Yeah.
one of the longest serving parties,
Yeah.
and has a very wide, membership
Yes.
across Kenya. And in every election,
Yes.
ODM has gone as ODM, I think, which is something commendable. Because if
Yeah.
you look at most of the parties, they keep changing and
Yes.
transforming and forming coalitions, but at least ODM has never folded,
Yeah.
and a few other parties. And also, if you met the president, what do you think would happen? Start with the second question.
I've met the president.
Okay.
And I came under a lot of fire for it, but people don't understand the context. Because the first time I met him was in a church service, and it was at a time when he still was not very popular.
Are you scared of the guy?
No, to be fair, I have not spent a lot of time with President Ruto. But when he met me, he was...
Would you like to have a conversation with him, about the things that you went through
I will.
under this regime?
I will have a conversation.
As a young person, as a Kenyan whose
Yeah.
life was in serious danger.
I've answered this question before and I said, I would have nothing. But now, knowing the things that I know now about my country and the advancement of the youth agenda, I know that I will have a conversation with the president sooner rather than later.
Would you ask him the hard questions?
I will ask him
See
the hard
way,
questions.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
felt like Baba was very fatherly.
Yeah.
And you're able to ask him almost anything.
Yeah.
Because you just felt like a son who is receiving a lot of wisdom and knowledge
Yeah.
from somebody who's much older.
Yes.
With much more experience. Would you probably give the president the same opportunity to get to know you? Or at least express some of the things you and the young people felt around that time of oppression?
I think learning what I've learned from His Excellency Raila Odinga, if I were to meet the president, I would put myself out of the way, in the sense that this is not a personal friendship. The president has the power of the executive. So it would mostly be on policy points. It would mostly be on what are the
But
most
I believe
urgent things.
that sounds very cosmetic, if you ask me.
It is.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because the underlying issue,
Yeah.
and you being a young person, whether you like it or not, you represent young people.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, a lot of young people lost their lives.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, you may not have the same ideology now. You may
Yeah.
have veered into a different direction.
Yeah.
You may have settled into a political party.
Yes.
But because in the event there's another protest, yeah, what at least should be a standard that can be upheld in terms of human rights and dignity. I believe that the policies and everything is important, but primarily life is important. Because
I think so too.
Yeah, life is important.
I agree with you. And that's why I was like, if I met the president, because the president is also a very busy person. If I have 2 hours with the president, I don't want him to know me. He's a consumer of intelligence. If he wants to know me, he will know me. But if I meet him now, what I'm going to say, because one, you cannot prevent any other protest. What you can do is ensure that there are fewer reasons for the youth to go on the streets. And of course, that revolves around education, revolves around healthcare, revolves around just the basics. Also it revolves around the treatment we got last year from the police. So there needs to be police reforms. There needs to be all these kinds of things. There are certain structural things that he can push for. What I've realized that is a lot of young people are not trained to speak to power, because it's very different. It's very different for me to tell him something on the streets, and if you get into a boardroom with a powerful person. So I'm actually preparing, and by preparing I mean studying a lot
Yeah.
and doing whatever.
Let me tell you something. So, from my little experience, just interacting around powerful circles, I would tell you one of the best things you can ever do for yourself is to be structured in your thinking, but more importantly, honesty.
Yeah.
Your honesty from a place of the kind of Kenya you want to see. You know, that
Yeah.
honest conversation will have more value in that space.
Yes.
As opposed to any other big topic. What are we
Yeah.
going to do about the IMF?
Yeah.
What are we going to do about this?
Yes.
Is Kenya going to keep borrowing? You know, well, those are important topics. You know, there's something that, you know, sometimes personal experience
Yes.
is the best point to start when you're speaking about something. Then at least once you get your guarantees.
Yes.
Because for me, I think life is important, and no one has a right to take you out or decide how long you should
Yes.
leave or not.
Yeah.
And I speak on behalf of the rest of Kenya, of course, and young people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to see extrajudicial killings. And looking at you, I mean, I'm just really happy that you're alive and well. But I know it could have gone terribly bad.
Absolutely.
Because for some reason, you were marked.
Yeah.
You know, so I just really don't want to get too much into that. But I'm just saying.
That actually, you've summarized it quite well, because that's my biggest pain point. I don't want to change the whole country. There's 55 million of us. Personally, I'm around police reforms and just the upholding of the sanctity of life. That's all I look at. Compensation of victims of police brutality and police reforms. Those are the only two things that I'm currently very passionate about. Once we cross that bridge, once we have a framework for compensation and those kinds of things, then we can push art, we can push education, we can push. Because then what are the other people in the country doing? I'm not trying to be the messiah of the country. Those are the pain points that I have with the president. That if I sat down with him, I would just look at what is our framework of compensation, what are the legislative opportunities that we can push around that, and what can we do in terms of police reforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And now the chama.
Chama kubwa, yeah. In ODM, I think, as a young person, political...
How is Sifuna, by the way?
I think he's okay.
He's my friend. I need to look for him.
As he is mine, and a lot of people think that I am either gunning for his position, which I am not. And people think that I'm just disagreeing with him from a strategic point.
What do you disagree with? What are you disagreeing
I disagree
on?
with, for example, if the party has signed an MOU to be in a broad-based arrangement. I know that the qualms that the party might have is that we do not have as much exercising authority. But then it would be okay for us to have all these diametrically opposed views. It would be easier if Baba was still alive, because he sort of knew how to steady the ship. Dr. Oburu Oginga is doing a very good job, actually. He gives me hope that the party is going to stabilize. And I'm very grateful, actually, that he's the one in charge of the party, because he also has this really calming... He has room for contradictory opinions.
Okay.
I just feel like if the spokesperson is going to give us confusing messaging, yes, I understand that the Orange Democratic Movement is a movement for the broad masses, and we are used to mostly opposition politics, but we are in a point where we need to also see, in this broad-based arrangement, what does the government do for us? Because as young people, we have put our bodies on the streets consistently. If there exists an arrangement, we also want to put our bodies off of the streets and see what this arrangement can do for us. But if it gets to a point where now there's an agreement that has been signed, and suddenly, even before we can see its full manifestation, because remember, in this arrangement, there's supposed to be meaningful inclusion of youth in public life. There's supposed to be meaningful rates of employment and empowerment of youth empowerment. More importantly, compensation of victims of police brutality. Even before these things can be realized, I would prefer if I would see my Secretary General and top party organs pushing for this MOU within this broad-based arrangement, as opposed to saying they do not recognize it. What is our role? Yes, we give the terms. Is that all that we can do as a party? How will you strengthen the party by saying, I already gave the conditions, now it's upon the ruling party to exercise these conditions?
But don't you think maybe the party would be in a better position if you first looked inwards before you start speaking? Because now there's different factions saying different things, and yet the party should be able to present from a
United
position of
front,
unity.
yeah.
So lock yourselves up in a room, banter and agree on what needs to be announced, and then now come out so that you all agree and you're on the same page. I think the challenge is coming straight from Baba's funeral.
Yeah.
We had different factions saying all manner of things, and personally, I feel like it. Some of it is connected to grief.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of it is connected to
A
grief.
lot of it is connected to grief. So people grieve in different.
And Baba was a united front. And, you know,
Yeah.
again, in terms of locking ourselves in a room, I would love that. But I'm just a delegate. I do not sit in the Central Management Committee, neither do I sit in, like, the Superior
But you're in the
Governing
Youth
Council.
League, right?
I am, but as a delegate. Remember,
Okay.
elections will happen next year. So where are we supposed to voice these things? We're supposed to play it out in the democratic spaces, and part of that includes online. So it may look like it's opposition, but it's voicing. It's one of the channels
But
that we're
where do you
using.
draw the line between voicing your opinion and also party loyalty?
There
And
is-
I'm not
yeah.
speaking in terms of muzzling.
I understand,
yourself.
in the sense that this is still within party dictates. I believe that if I were out of line, I'd be censured and I'd
No,
be
I didn't
told.
say you were.
Yeah, no, I'm saying if
yeah.
I were. But there's nothing about. I don't think there's any contradiction in that. If anything, if there is a contradiction, the Orange Democratic Movement is strong enough to withstand the contradictions. But there also is an agreement that we have, a memorandum of understanding that we have on the table. This broad-based government exists because the Orange Democratic Movement is a part of it. So what are we doing about that? It's just asking, it's us strengthening and saying, yes, I agree that there's this other opinion, but also what are you doing about this? Because as young people, our interests are best taken care of. We already know the ideology of the party. We already know where we want the party to go. We want the party to capture power and administer state. But what is in it for the young people? When are the young people going to be at the table? How many young people are included in these conversations? So we're creating an alternative space where young people can, because even if you see the reactions to my criticism of our Secretary General, and this is not to the person of Edwin Sifuna, this is to the office of the Secretary General, and it's just sharpening the contradictions and saying, I feel like I disagree when the office does this or when the office does
But
that.
how about, have you had a conversation with him directly?
I haven't.
You see how it comes off when you... Do you understand that? That's why I'm saying I
Yeah.
wish the party
Yeah.
would retreat internally,
Yeah.
have conversations, so that all the things we're hearing on social media,
Yeah.
which sound to be contradicting each
Right.
other.
And I think that's part of what is going to happen even in the upcoming ODM 20.
And anyways, these are goofs that I feel like
Yeah.
every institution can have, but I feel like normally they're better handled when first you have a
Internally.
discussion internally, agree, because losing the party leader
Yeah.
is a big blow to the party before
Yes.
you figure out what's going to happen. You need to retreat internally and then
Yeah.
be able to speak to the public. But be that as it may, we obviously are following very closely to see.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you're a champion of democracy, you want to
Yeah.
see vibrant political parties, and we're hoping Ricky G and his team, the
Yeah.
president and the team, are going to come up with very vibrant policies and manifestos for the 2027 general
I
election.
hope so too.
My last question
Yeah.
would be, so when you look at the future, do you feel like there's redemption or repetition? The reason why I ask this is in terms of, for example, if you had the ability to come up with a new constitution to change something in Kenya or some things, what would your first line be like?
I wouldn't change it. It's perfect. We the people. That's how our constitution starts. The preamble starts with "we the people." I'm like, that is all we need.
Because and I feel like, especially in the political space, I think I've worked around matters, elections for a very long time, and I know we are constantly working throughout the electoral cycle
Yeah.
on electoral laws and the legislations and whatnot. And the thing is, sometimes I feel like we already have legislations that are functional. It's just that we have bad manners.
Yeah. It's just
And
the
we
software.
choose to do the opposite.
Yeah.
you
So
know,
I would
sometimes.
want first, even before changing it, I would want first to see the actualization of this.
Have
This-
you looked at electoral laws? Do you feel like young people are well taken care of?
To be fair, we have the chance to have free, fair, credible, verifiable elections. It's just that our systems have impediments. Again, this is a software problem from the people, because a Kimskit should be able to just do everything. It should be able to register a voter, should be able to identify you. You should be able to even count and transmit. It's just that nowadays we've just made it like you just vote. That's the only thing it can
I keep
do.
laughing anytime I see that, there's a push to change election technology. And I'm like, listen, you have a phone, I have a phone.
Yeah.
If I choose to send a head speech message, it is the handler, it's not the phone.
Yes.
So it's not about,
Kim's kit is perfect. Like
we just need to.
it just needs. We need to see.
Bad
Yes, we just see its full potential, and we will not have rigging because it will count.
Rigging actually comes from, it's a human element thing.
So that's why I'm like, I would just want to see the full actualization of our constitution, because think about countries like the United States. They have an 18-pager. Our constitution is like 300 pages. Bill of Rights from chapter, was it Article 19 to like 59? We've covered everything. If we can only just implement it,
even a quarter,
just tekeleza katiba, then we can think about changing it. Of course, now there's certain again, our constitution was not.
Do you feel like the conversation to
go for it.
We're there to finish.
Yeah,
the conversation to change the constitution, is it genuine? Because what are we really lacking, or is it a ploy by political leaders to introduce certain things that,
be it as it may,
favor them?
Only the people can decide how they want to be governed. So I don't think I need to read intentions and whatnot. I don't have a problem with it. But even this constitution, and we might have maybe a separate conversation for it, it was a special purpose document to appease a lot of groups. It was salve. It's supposed to be to calm a broken nation, because remember, we get it after the post-election violence. So, I mean, those are welcome. Present your case to the people, but it would be nice to sort of see its manifestation. But then again, there's things which, if you're talking changes, the devolved units, we have too many. I think counties should be, we should reduce the number of counties. But then even by the time we do that, can we see what this one's like? If we're still fighting on allocation, it's supposed to be given 450 billion, they're being given 405. If you can see capitation going and those kinds of things, can we see, is it possible to achieve a full realization of what this constitution currently is? Then we can see that these are the
including the two-thirds.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's been amazing having you in the studio. Of course, very pleasant conversations with you. You were so knowledgeable.
As are you.
And you represent young people quite well.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yes. You were not just a Kenyan, but you were, I feel like, there's a lot of patriotic bonds in you. Right. I feel like when you speak, you said Kibaki was the best president. I'm like, where were you when Kibaki was president?
I said the worst.
Oh, yeah, you said the worst.
Yeah. And I'm happy
those
to
two
qualify.
things he could have done and he didn't
could
do.
Have dealt decisively with corruption and with tribalism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I may have a different opinion because I was there
at
the time, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
So with us in studio has been Kasmuel Mc'Oure, who is an African, first and foremost, and a young person from Kenya who is also in activism, a bit of human rights, and also he's a member of a political party, of course, with ambitions of leadership in this country. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been Diplomacy Unscripted. We hope you'll join us next time. Kindly follow us, click, share, subscribe on Diplomacy Unscripted on all social media platforms. Thank you.